Hello, everyone. It's Tuesday morning. This is IT Live. It's brought to you by Academy Sports and Outdoors. This is the show where we focus on the upcoming opponent, talk a little bit about our quick thoughts of the previous game, but we scout the Mississippi State Bulldogs. We look at their numbers and we talk about their players that we find quite interesting. Good morning, fellas. Good morning. And you guys know what the deal is by now. You need to head over to InsideTexas.com. You can join for just $1. And with that, you're going to get team news, recruiting news, analysis, all of that jazz. Just scan that QR code, guys. It'll take you straight to the page, apply your promotion, and then you'll be a full member. We don't even have to jump you in. You can just join the site. There's no hazing, none of that, man. What's up, Paul?
What's up?
I'm doing all right. Oh, no, Paul. Fluff is probably going to be out again.
Oh, no. Is there a lint brush?
There we go, dude. Started off good. He's so sharp in the morning, dude, and he's an hour ahead of us.
Ryan Nelson misspelled again. Come on, Ryan.
Come on, dude.
Come on, be better, man.
And then, look, we got another one. Morning Gittins. Guys.
Hey, I don't want to hear a word of criticism about our offense until you look in your own backyard. And I'm talking to everyone in the chat.
Yeah. You guys get your spelling right, okay?
Look, Texas Jasper, good morning. Correct spelling.
Yeah, good.
Garrett Blaylock just spelled accountability correctly. Let's go. Let's emulate those guys.
We know it's early, guys, but you gotta execute in the chat, guys.
They're taking their reps like it's a game.
Yeah, exactly. All right. Kentucky thoughts, Paul. I had the pleasure of reading your postmortems. I had the pleasure of doing a post game with you.
Yes. Well, I don't have much to add, actually. So I would encourage y'all to go join Inside Texas. You can read my postmortems there, where I break down the games and kind of talk about it. I don't have a ton more to say. I mistook an individual game plan against OU for maybe a new direction on the offense of establishing some core competencies, specifically outside zone, specifically having early outlets for Arch Manning when he did experience pressure. And those things went away against Kentucky. I thought that was going to be, hey, we're building out now based on our personnel and some of the things that I discussed of outside zone seems to fit our tackles better. It feeds some of the things that we do okay.
Widener reads it great.
Yeah, and we're not super strong on the O-line. We're not super physical, so let's emphasize athleticism, feet, things like that. And we saw that against OU. And I thought we were going to establish outside zone as a base run core concept. And no, we weren't. It was just an individual game plan for OU. And then we decided to do a bunch of other different stuff for Kentucky, and all of it failed. Some of it was play calling failure or schematic failure, but some of it was Arch Manning failure, missing wide open guys. And then some of it was the offensive line being horrendous. If people were questioning why isn't Connor Robertson our starting center, or why isn't Cole Hudson at guard and Connor Robertson the center, now we know.
Paul Wadlington and Tex Homer are the best. Yep. We got some spellers in here, dude.
That's right.
Yeah, that's what we get for being hopeful last week, Paul. We will learn our lessons, right?
We'll see. Well, here's the thing. Sark reflected in the post game. He was like, I need to do some different things schematically now. And I'm like, well, you could just go back to what you did against OU. That seemed to be helpful.
Yeah, Garrett points out Sark seems to have taken accountability. I thought he had a good press conference. It was open. You can be cagey and kind of tense, and Sark's done that a couple times this season.
Yeah,
he was pretty open. He didn't answer everything like that's exactly what I wanted, but I didn't feel like he was withholding or getting defensive or getting weird.
So I really like Steve Sarkisian, like on a personal level. I like the guy. Yeah. I think he's a cool dude. I think he does a great job under a lot of pressure with immense responsibilities. I think he represents the university really well. I think he's coaching football for the right reasons. I think he actually cares about the guys he coaches, things like that. And he loves college football. I thought he was a little defensive early in the year because he was really pissed off about the development of his team and some of his assistants effectively betraying him, right? He's through that. And he's like, all right, this is my team. How am I going to coach them up? And so that's the phase that he's in. And I think he realizes maybe what went on against Kentucky was not ideal, particularly contrasted against OU. So, the fact is, you go to war with the army you have, right? And you play the games with the team you have. And there are things we could have done to change this team, but we didn't. So, and I was pointing this out a while ago. So constantly reiterating that over and over probably isn't super productive, right? I mean, at some point we kind of get it. We get what happened.
Right.
We get that Flood sort of got complacent or sold Sark a bill of goods or got like his ego threatened by, we need to bring in transfers. What are you saying about me? Whatever. But we're kind of past that. And we know. So Ryan Nelson has a comment in the chat. Brooks is on pace for 40 pressures allowed in SEC play. He isn't ready to start in the SEC. No, he's not, but he's going to start in the SEC. So the question then is, how do you best game plan around his deficiencies, and how do you try to help him improve in season?
And Sark said it, they asked, is this a quick fix or a long-term fix? And he just said the quick fixes are, you need to call to your strengths. And he said, if a guy he said it in fancy words, but if the guy's not good enough, you have to call around him, or you have to do things, and minimize risk, which is what we've been saying and what we thought he did versus OU. So we'll see. And he said, I'm not going to divulge the game plan, but changes are going to be made. So like there's things like that hopefully that means that they're going to shorten the playbook to what we can actually execute, and then just try to have that as the core.
And I got to say, for the people who are like, Sark called a bad game and all that, if Arch hits 5 or 6 open receivers, is it a bad game plan?
Yeah, it feels different.
It feels a little different. And here's the thing about football. You press your advantages, particularly when you're the underdog at home, right? So Kentucky wasn't bringing all those crazy pressures early in the game.
Yeah.
It happened as they started to realize, Arch can't punish us and they can't block us. So now we're going to open up the playbook and we're going to start bringing Sims and 6-man rushes and, all sorts of stuff. You can back people off that if you hit some early runs and you hit some early passes. People get scared of you and they respect you and they say, all right, we got to play this like straight down the numbers. And that's what OU had to do, right? 2 weeks ago. They started to realize like, okay, we can't get all crazy if they're going to gash us with outside zone. So, that's there. It is a multifactorial issue, and there's a longer conversation that's been going on at Inside Texas in my postmortems that have been sort of documenting this. So if you want to be a part of that conversation, go join Inside Texas, watch this here YouTube channel, like and subscribe, and you could listen to my Everyone Gets a Trophy podcast, where I kind of drop solo pods where I just say, hey, here's what I think is going on. And I talk for 30 minutes off the cuff and sort of say, this is what I really think. And I try not to edit it, even though occasionally I'll say something where I'm like, I probably should edit that.
Yeah. And Sark said, he was like, what we did wrong with Kentucky is that he was like, we have to understand that teams are going to show things that they didn't show before because we've put on tape that we're weak at it. So teams that didn't generally have he specifically talks about upfront movement with Kentucky. He was like, they didn't have a bunch of that, but against us, they implemented a bunch of that. And so he was saying, look, we have to know that the word's out on us that we cannot handle stunts, slants, all of that. So even when a team doesn't do it a ton relative, they are going to turn up that dial for that week, and we have to prepare them. Now, I don't like that we realize that versus Kentucky. I mean, that's kind of a no-brainer. And to me, stunts are stunts. Like, that's just a core thing you have to be able to handle as an offensive line. It shouldn't be, I mean, if there's a particular stunt, but you should kind of just know how to handle that. It shouldn't have been like, this week we're not going to practice handling stunts. Oh, no, they're running stunts. But Sark's also just kind of like, look, man, people are going to try to blitz us more because we can't pick them up. So even if they don't show it a ton on tape, it doesn't mean that we're not going to get that from them.
So a lot of the things we're going to study today about Mississippi State are not going to be relevant, because on defense, they're going to try all sorts of stuff that they would not have tried earlier in the year against other opponents. And part of it's because they're a home dog. This is the potential for a big win. They're 4-3. Mm-hmm. This is a potential for an SEC win, which would be a big deal for them. I mean, for Levy to go to a bowl game this year would be a big deal.
Yeah.
And to beat Texas, that's a scalp you want on your wall. So they're going to do stuff on defense that they have not done all year. So when we show you their pressure numbers, when we show you all that different stuff, just understand that we're going to get a novel game plan based on our weakness. And they're going to attack it until we punish it.
Yeah, Florida and Kentucky, both in the 90s in sack rate, and then they play Texas, and they triple their output.
They were the 85 Bears.
Yeah, and so it's like, yeah, that's what sucks with analyzing this up and down of an offense, because the numbers can lie to you guys.
Do people know who the 85 Bears are when I say that? Am I a boomer?
No, I don't think no, I feel like 85 Bears have stood the test of time.
Like people know what that means.
You can say 85 Bears in reference to anything. Like, okay, it doesn't have to be football correlated. I think that's one of the ones that is still relevant. All right, guys. Let's look at the Bulldogs. Let's look at their offense. They have an interesting offense. They're fun to watch. My man Shapes. Dang, Shapes. You almost got him at the end, brother. Almost got Florida, but in true shaping fashion, it always goes wrong at the end, baby. It's been at Baylor. They cannot finish, or shaping, because it's been across different schools. But they have an interesting offense, and everyone thinks deep threats, and you should, but that's not their core identity. We'll talk a little bit more about what they actually are. The number one thing that I want to key into here, first I'll just tell you, they're 65th in points per game, so not crazy scoring, not super low scoring. They're 9th in the country in seconds per play. This is tempo. So they're going to move very fast. They're going to try to tire out your defense. We haven't faced this level of pace. So this is a new challenge for the Texas defense that I do think will be interesting. And so we need to see what's kind of going on there. But if they go 3 and out, if it's a fast 3 and out, if they don't do it, and Lebby's had this problem, Virenshut has this problem, you have to execute very well, or it's a lot of 3 and outs, because you can see they're 112th in time of possession. So they're not keeping the ball super long. And then they're 80th in yards per play. So they can move forward a good amount, you'll see, right? 34th in success rate. They do move forward, but they don't move forward for a ton of yards.
They've also been more run heavy.
Well, that's what I was going to say. We'll see the same kind of situation that's interesting with their run game.
Some of that is some O-line injuries that they had that have been really key. They don't have depth on their offensive line.
And you'll see how the run game opens up every other thing. So they move forward, not for a lot of yards, and then they're 59th in explosiveness. So they will hit that thing, but it's forward, not for a lot, shot. Forward, not for a lot, shot. That's how the offense moves.
Is that why you were saying you wanted to play that song, like shots, 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 shots?
No, I just love that song.
Oh, okay.
No, it's just my favorite song, dude.
Because you've been trying to make that the new intro for all the IT YouTube stuff.
Yeah, for sure, dude. Yeah. I really love it. That song's not douchey at all. All right.
You grew up in Dallas. Like when you had blonde tipped hair when you were 19.
I wasn't, dude. No. Whenever I was frosted tips, brother, that was 3rd grade. White tee. I have a school picture.
Oh, you thought you were Eminem?
That was a different phase. I did have an Eminem phase.
Okay.
This is more California, dude. This is more Laguna Beach is
possible. Oh, did you have puka shells?
Yes.
I
had puka shells, white tee, frosted tips. And then, but in a different phase, when Eminem came out, I was on my Walkman, dude. I listened to Eminem. My parents had no idea what he was saying on those records, by the way.
Yes.
And I would go to Walmart, make them buy me just like a single gray hoodie, because he would wear that in 8 Mile, dude. And I would just hang out in my 9-year-old angst and just be like, man, it's rough in 8 Mile. You know what I'm talking about?
I remember distinctly being in high school, and my mom walked in, and I was listening to 2 Live Crew, and she was like, "What are they saying they want?"
Yeah.
And I was like, "Don't worry about it, Mom. It's like street talk."
Yeah, they had
like, oh, okay.
They had no idea what Eminem was saying on those records. Havoc rate 100th in the country, so they deal with a lot of issues. 104th on front 7. They get sacked a lot. And then they also struggle with the secondary as well, 89th. So a lot of things go wrong for this team, theoretically. Theoretically, because you never know what happens when they play Texas, right? So this is interesting in their run game. First thing I'll point out is rushing attempts per game. They're averaging 42. So they're 19th in the country. So we hear about all this like deep passing stuff. They're actually a running team. They're a spread to run team. And it opens up their pass game later on. But this is actually a rushing offense. They get forward, they move forward, 10th in rushing success rate. But if you notice, their yards per rush is 91st. So how do they get their rushing yards per game? They run a lot of attempts at a low yards per rush, and it still equals about 160 yards a game because they spam it.
Are they including sacks here?
In what, yards per rush?
Yeah.
I don't think so.
Are you sure?
I'm pretty sure at CFB rankings, I don't think they're including yards per rush and sacks.
All right.
Yeah, they spam, right? So even if you're running at 3.8 at 42 attempts a game, you're still going to get 160 yards rushing. And then they're 56th in rushing explosivity. So they'll hit one every now and again. But they're really just kind of rushing, and then you'll see what they're able to do with that in the pass game.
They miss Fluff, man.
Yeah, he's a big, smooth back. For being that large, man, he's really a smooth glider. Offensive line yards, they're 24th. Rushing power success rate, 4th and short, third and 3 type stuff. Pretty good, 56th. And then their stuff rate is 33rd. So the passing game, which everyone keys into, is pretty polar. So they're 20th in passing explosivity. I mean, you'll see it. Brennan Thompson is a legit deep threat, and Brennan Thompson wants his revenge, boys. And so we're gonna have to be real aware of that guy. And not only is he just, when I think there's speed receivers that are just buckets, meaning that you put them on a line, and if you hit them directly, they'll catch it. Brennan makes legit plays. He adjusts to the ball. He makes hard catches downfield. He's aggressive, all of that stuff. So Brennan's turned into a really nice deep threat.
It's amazing when you focus and concentrate on football, you get better at football.
Yeah, what are the odds? So they do have that. And then they have Anthony Evans, former Georgia player, also a fast player. And so he's more your screen guy. So Anthony Evans, you want to think like he's going to get it and go. And then Brennan Thompson, he's going to go and get it. I got all these little sayings today, man. I'm really firing them out. But think Anthony Evans, he's going to get your yak. He's going to be lower, short, screens, and then try to go. Brennan Thompson, they're going to push intermediate, and then they're going to push deep. So they're going to make you run. And remember, this is a veer and shoot style spread. So they're going to spread guys out, and they're going to make you play a light box. If you do play a light box, and I mean light like 5, then they'll run on you. And then eventually you're going to move more guys in the box, and then they're going to throw deep on you. And it's going to go back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. They really do a good job of taking what you give them. And they're really disciplined in that. And so I've actually been impressed with Levy's system in that regard. They end up being 45th in yards per pass, but this is where they have a lot of problems. They're 121st in QB sack percentage, 111th in offensive line pass blocking efficiency, and Blake Shapen leads the SEC in pressure to sack rate.
Yeah, Shapen's actually fairly mobile, but he's got 60 carries for 20 yards on the season. So that's why I was wondering if they'd included his sack numbers or his, but I guess we'll see. Because if you look at their raw rushing averages, like for their backs, it's interesting, right? It's 5.5, 4.6, 8.7 for their top
8.7.
Xavier Gatron.
Oh, the third string.
And then Kamario Taylor is like their option dual threat quarterback who will come in.
There we go. Yeah.
He averaged 6 yards to carry. So that's why I was asking. That's why I was asking about that, because it's true they have not hit big explosive runs, but these guys all will, gash you for 8, 11, 12. It's an interesting team. I mean, and it does show you, I know it's like a cliche of like bad teams in the SEC or other leagues, medium teams, right? It's kind of true though. I mean,
it's true.
This is the team that beat Arizona State in their place in Starkville, right? And, Arizona State is an upper tier Big 12 team. So I don't think that's like crazy to say. Now, the fact is they have had some injuries, and I think that O-line data you gave is still going to hold up. Whereas I'm dubious of any defensive performance before they play us.
Right.
Because I know they're going to be a different defense when they play us and what they're going to try. But I think their offensive stuff is sticky. And I think they lost their best offensive tackle, season-ending injury, and then they've had their other starting tackles been out for 2 games in a row. He might be back. I don't think he played against Florida. I'm not sure.
I'm glad you mentioned Kamario Taylor. He's 6'4", 230. He's a good-looking athlete, and they put him in as a wildcat. And he's one of those rushing quarterbacks. Now, keep in mind, Texas handles this great. So I don't think it'll always be, I think we can solve that. We tend to do that well. But for other teams, you can know he's running, and he still gets to the edge. So he's a really interesting guy. He's a freshman. It's a good way to get a player of the future involved early and give them a role. Because he can never pass the Blake Shapen. That'd be insane. But
no one can. Do you want to just do a 5-minute monologue on Blake Shapen and what he means to you?
I mean, I think that people know how important Blake Shapen is. And one of these days he will overcome. Please don't let it be against Texas. But he will win a game. He will win the last drive eventually. In year 15 of quarterbacking, he's going to put it together, guys. But let's talk Devon Booth. Interesting back, 5'10", 205, good speed. He always moves faster to me than I think he has like an 11.7 100, which is not crazy. But he kick returned last year. I don't know if he does this year. But he has some good speed. And then Fluff Bothwell, Paul, I'll allow you to do 5 minutes on Fluff. Just explain.
Oh, the greatness of Fluff. So one of many, hint, cheap running backs who are quality that were available in the portal. And you can get them from other teams in the P4. You can get them from the G5. It's one of the positions that consistently scales up from the lower tiers, not just G5, but the FCS. Mm-hmm. Hello, Cam Scadaboo, right? So Fluff Bothwell was a guy who was really good at South Alabama for our old pal, Major Applewhite. And obviously he was not going to be long for that program because of his explosiveness. So he's a little 5'10", 230 guy, like no surface to tackle. He's just sort of shoulder pads and thighs. And he's actually kind of like explosive. He's got like a little like acceleration to him. And he's a fun back. He's really good at like kind of hitting big gashing runs. So he's a guy that could have helped us. But Fluff has been out for 2 games, I think.
Yeah, he went out versus Texas A&M.
Yeah, so I'm not sure if he's back yet.
Gayton is the one that fumbled just out of nowhere versus Florida. Like he was behind the line and just like gave it to him in the red zone.
Like threw it to a Florida guy.
So you definitely want Bothwell back in the mix. And like Paul said, for his size, he's a really smooth mover. It's not – sometimes with those big guys, they kind of look like little tanks, like that. He moves well for his build too. Tight end, they have Traore. They had him last year. He was – I can't remember if he was a basketball player or what. I'm trying to remember my breakdown from him, years ago. But my word on him the previous year was that he's a good athlete, but he's not a good tight end yet. And he's still trying to kind of work that out. I don't know how much that's still true. They're not great at getting it to him, but they can get it to him over the middle type thing. And he's at 6'4", 235, so he's more of that like, slot tight end build. But they stay in 11. Like he's on the field, and he will go into the core.
Do you know Fluff Bothwell's real name?
No, I do not.
It's not Fluff.
I wish it was.
I know. It's Demarion, but with an apostrophe after the D-A. I would have gone D''M, no A.
Yep.
I wanted to name my son Latravius with an apostrophe, but it just didn't work out that way.
Got vetoed.
Yeah.
Vetoed by the old wife. Probably no. All right. Jordan Mosley is also quick. So you have Brennan Thompson, who's fast as hell, Jordan Mosley, who's fast, and Anthony Evans, who's fast. Everyone's fast. And so this is a big, big factor for them. And if you press them, they're going to go vertical, and they're going to win. Like they're just going to – there's one play. Florida gets beat on – both corners get beat at the same time. So my notes are like, what do I say that this offense is in like a quick standard way? Let me see. I had it earlier. They're a tempo spread to run 11 personnel veer and shoot offense with real speed at wide receiver. A lot of stacks, switch releases. They like RPOs, and then they take shots. They run a lot of outside zone, draw, quarterback run. And the mesh is really interesting for them. They have some type of quarterback hand element in everything. So whether it's a quarterback read, whether it's an RPO, whether it's play action, you'll see Shapen do this very robotic catch every time, whether it's play action, RPO, but they're constantly getting the defensive line to see this.
Yep.
And then they run a bunch of stuff off of that. So you got to be aware. They have been good run blockers, and they do have a good success in the run game, but they're low yards per rush, as we talked about. They are poor down to down in passing, but they make up for that in explosivity. So they're not going to do great at nickel and diming you, even though they do that all right. But it's whenever they're able to slip Brennan Thompson past you is where they're able to really kill you. They are high penalty, low luck team, good field position as well.
On run blocking, a lot of that is they recruit for physicality on their offensive line. Basically, the thing is like, are you physical and nasty? And even if you're not a very good pass blocker, they're just like, hey, we're going to line up with wide splits, and we want you to mash on the guy in front of you. And if people want to shoot those gaps, then we've got all sorts of countermeasures for that. Mm-hmm. So that's what they're looking for in the O-line. But the biggest thing that you have to contend with is their splits. And you have to make decisions about, how do I want to play that? Do I want to try to two-gap them, like stand the lineman up and then try to play two gaps on either side of them? Or do I want to use our superior athleticism and attack those gaps and fly up in there and see if we can get disruptions and negative plays that will outweigh their screen game and all the things that they do as a countermeasure? And it's a fun cat and mouse game. I suspect PK will go more with the two gap, let's read them, let's not overcommit philosophy. But it is something you want to try in that game of like, hey, can we just run through these gaps and like go kill Shapen? Because that's what A&M did to them, because they knew about the O-line injuries at both tackles, and Mississippi State could not block them. Mm-hmm. So that's something that we need to explore. And then Charlie Williams, our pal, brings up a good point in the chat. Says better get out the cover three, especially number 3 side. The switch verts will have them messed up. Mm-hmm. That's a big part, is like, how are you going to deal with their vertical game? And unless you've got Earl Thomas back there who can like single-handedly seal off 3 verts, right? You've got to figure out like, hey, let's not get these guys a cheap score over the top on us, because they've got legit speed. We're not running down Brennan Thompson in the open field. So I think you have to really think about that and make them go to their hitch game and hand the ball off. Mm-hmm. And that's really the way you can hold them down. And I think that fits with PK's larger philosophy, right? The bend but don't break style. So, I think that's what we're going to see. And then it would really be helpful. What really goes well with the bend but don't break style of defense? An offense.
A nice Riesling.
Yeah, a nice Riesling. Yes. But like an offense that scores points so that the other team has to get out of their little nickel and dime stuff, and they have to start risking the ball. And that's where your defense really starts to shine. But, our offense.
You're doing fantasy analysis now.
I'm doing fantasy football right now.
Yeah, you're doing fantasy football.
The Jaguars give up 4 catches and 41 yards to the tight end position by average.
Well, that's the problem. And coach is right. A ton of switch release, a ton of stack. And if you do run cover 3, they break that, man, all the time. There's also on the all 22, Shapen doesn't always make the right read. Like, there's plenty of times the receivers win and Shapen's like handoff, and so it's like there's more opportunities than you even see for them. And those receivers are good. And when you're talking about countermeasures, that's all this offense is to me. If you stop the run, we're going to go, and they have all the pieces and the ways to do it, which is annoying. So if you're going to stop the run, okay, we're going to hit you vertically. Okay, well, we're going to stop the run and we're going to play off now, so you can't hit us vertically. No problem. Here's the comeback. Here's the quick out. Here's they adjust incredibly well to whatever you're doing. And it's just constantly this cycle of you getting into loading the box, unloading the box, playing off, playing on. And they just react to whatever you do. They call the play that counters it. It's a smart system they have there.
Well,
it's
very honest. The fear and shoot at its core is it's kind of soup to nuts. Like, they have a solution. They've seen everything. So they kind of have a solution for whatever it is you want to do. Mm-hmm. Now, what destroys them is if you just have a good balanced defense that's disciplined and can kind of do a lot pretty well. That hurts their approach. And they're susceptible to disguise as any offense, right? Mm-hmm. Particularly because they're so robotic in some ways of like, I see this look pre-snap, I do this, I throw here.
You have to disguise because they're reading all your leverages. That's all they're doing.
And sometimes their offense is, Connor, is as simple as a box count.
Mm-hmm.
They just walk up to the line of scrimmage and go 6 in the box, handoff until they stop.
Yeah, you have to lie. You have to lie. That's a great point.
You've got to do some pre-snap disguise. And Taff and McDonald have been good at that. And it helps to have more experienced guys at corner and nickel. We've been less prone to do that with Littleton, with Gilbo for different reasons. He's experienced, but you don't want to kind of expose him on an island accidentally. But I think we're going to see some more disguise, and it really helps to have like linebackers and edges that can run, that can close to the ball. Sometimes those wide receiver screens are less effective when you've got guys who can just run all over the place.
The veer and shoot is an interesting offense because when it works, it looks unstoppable, and when it doesn't, they can't do anything.
Yeah, like watch Florida, right?
Yeah.
It's in your backyard. They came in there recently and dropped 63 on North Texas, and didn't actually play that well on offense. They had a bunch of turnovers, and but when they're just making easy reads and they're getting matchup, it's a nightmare. And I listened to an interesting comment from a DC talking about it, and he said you can't really play everything, so you have to kind of make a choice, and you have to mix it up. But you have to sort of decide, hey, you're not going to run the ball at all, and we're going to make you hit throws. Or you can be like, hey, you're not going to hit us in the passing game. If you guys want to run the ball, that's cool, but we don't think you can run it in once you get to the 20-yard line. So you kind of have to make a choice. If you try to like solve everything, I think that's where you can get into some problems.
Well, what's really smart about the veer and shoot with the wide splits, and they don't do it all the time. They run a lot of trips, right? But you will see the veer and shoot looks. What people will do is they'll take their apex defenders, meaning the safety or the nickel that's between the tackle and the first receiver. They'll try to widen with them. But when you do that and pull your apex guys out, now you've wasted players because they're not close enough to the box to defend the run, but they're not close enough to the pass to defend the pass. So the veer and shoot can also end up where you're like trying to solve it by putting players on islands, and they don't help either way. So a big thing too is you have to avoid that instinct because you'll end up burning backside safeties. You'll end up burning nickels or mics or whatever you're trying to do, spreading guys out too.
Yeah, another thing about the veer and shoot, if their outside receivers aren't threatening, or if you have the confidence as a defense to have your corners press and drive that guy out of bounds because he's lined up next to the boundary, right? It just falls apart, right? So I haven't seen enough of their film to know, but has anyone been confident enough to just tell Brennan Thompson, hey, we're going to manhandle you at the line of scrimmage? You're not going to even release.
No. I mean, they pressed and he wins. That. Like Florida tried it. Okay. And they got burnt a ton. Now they didn't hit all of them, but no, I mean, they tried to press. And that's the thing about Brennan that's interesting is like he actually has skill. Like whenever you watch him as a receiver, he's not just a pure track guy anymore. So I was pretty impressed actually watching his tape, how hard he plays, how he adjusts the ball, all that kind of stuff. Before we keep going though, let's hear a word from Academy.
Any gate can be a tailgate.
Also, when you're dealing with real speed, you can check them off the line. You just push them back, and then they go and run their 10-1. So it's like it's even that where it's like you can check them at the line, but they're still fast enough to get back to their route. But you can, if they are going deep, the offensive line, like I said, can't pass block. So you can sack Chapin, and Chapin can't get away from anybody. So that's there for sure.
It'll be interesting because I have a lot of respect for Jeff Lebby as an offensive mind. So I mean, he smoked us back in 23. I mean, that was a great game plan. Like he really understood like what our deficiencies were and what was going to give us problems. And he hit us. If you guys will recall, that loss happened because of 2 late touchdowns. One in the first half, right? They went and drove for a touchdown, going hurry up, running Dylan Gabriel, running routes that gave us problems. And then the end of the game, they went and drove and scored the winning touchdown with 15 seconds left.
And we have that. I mean, if you remember Kentucky at the end of the first half drove down. At the end of the fourth, they drove down. It's they didn't do it like OU, but we have this weird thing at ends of halves where the defense can just kind of lose it. And so it'll be interesting to see. This is their situational stuff. 77th in standard downs rate, not great, but they are 23rd in success rate when they are in that situation. They are 47th in third down percentage, so they are above average, and they're above average even with a really bad average third down distance of 103rd in the country. So even being dealt a bad hand, they didn't get dealt a bad hand. They gave themselves a bad hand, but they still do well. 50% on fourth. 55th in the country on red zone, including touchdown and field goal. But what's interesting is they're 16th in the country in scoring touchdowns in the red zone. So this is a good offense that can execute or scheme up situations. And when you have a bunch of fast guys, that's where you can really activate because they can win in 5. I complain about this with Texas. We don't do those kind of routes enough, the quick game, but also our receivers aren't winning 5 guys. They're down the field, crosser, post. We don't have your your foot in the ground, whip route across the board. You can do that with some of these fast guys, Anthony Evans and stuff like that. So they have been really adept in the red zone at scoring actual touchdowns. Sacks allowed 117th. Interceptions 46th. Fumbles per game 37th. And then tackles for loss, once again, 118th. So our problems are that they can face some havoc. You can sack them, all of that stuff. I think the game plan will likely end up being, look, we know that they have real speed on the outside. Let's play off. They're going to counter that by running a bunch of screens, sit down routes, that kind of stuff. And that's going to be a big factor for them. But the offense is interesting. Just don't get bit deep. And their run game has success too because they get a lot of advantaged boxes. So I bet we will let them advantage the box.
So just to update, looks like Albert Reese, who's one of their offensive tackles. The other one's out for the season. He'll be fine. He'll play against Texas.
Okay. It'll be interesting to see what we do with this offense because we have examples with Lebby where we didn't nail it, but there's other examples where we're really good at that. So we'll have to see. They're going to have a game plan for us, though. That's for damn sure. Let's look at the mismatches we have real quick. So a mismatch is a rank differential of 80. So there's a huge differential in their pace versus what our defense is used to. So this could be a big thing. Like guys could get tired, especially if this offense does not perform. Because you're going to face a lot of plays like 86 versus Kentucky, and you're going to face a lot of plays at a fast rate. So if the offense doesn't show up, they could tire out any defense in the country with this pace that they run. So that's a big thing.
Also, PK, every time we play a hurry-up, no-huddle offense, he forgets what you can and can't do against them. I don't know why. He does it every year. You saw against OU, he tried to get subs on the third play of the game when OU had not subbed. So OU ran to the line, got in check shotgun. Mateer's ready to get the snap, and we've got 3 dudes running off the field. 2 of them are at the hash. Like every Texas high school coach knows you can't sub against a no-huddle team playing pace. That didn't sub. If they sub, you go sub. I mean, you did that. And it's the third play of the game. So PK was so focused on getting his proper 3rd and 10 group in that he forgot he was playing a hurry-up, no-huddle team. Like the most basic thing to know, right? So if you guys remember, that was a free play because they threw the flag on us, and then they threw a 23-yard pass to Isaiah Satania. They end up getting a field goal off that, a cheap field goal. He's made other mistakes like that when we faced Lebby in 23. We've gotten caught several times in stuff like that, or he's tried to get in the last perfect call while our guys are looking over at the sideline going, like, come on. And he's like looking at their personnel, squinting, like, it's like, dude, you got to get a call in. So that could be an adjustment period as well, that you would think like we've figured it out by now, but there's no evidence we have. We always have to be reminded in the game, oh, we're playing a team that goes pace. I can't do that. So
and coordinators are like that. That Kirby Smart does the same thing. Like he's trying to wait for the last second, and these tempo teams. But what you need is they're going to play 11 personnel. Like they're not going to change it up. So whoever you're bringing in on first down, they better be able to play on third down.
Yeah,
because they're going to be the same guys, and they're probably going to be the same guys in for the whole drive and the whole damn game. So personnel packages aren't great versus this style. So you need to be thinking ahead of time. If I don't trust this player on third down, well, I can't put him in on first down because he's going to be in on third down.
Nailed it. So that's the great thing about our defense is we've got a bunch of guys who can play against anything, right? And we've got an endless number of defensive linemen, which is your big concern when you play teams like this. It's not so much that like your safety gets winded. It's that my big defensive tackle stops pass rushing.
Yep.
But we don't have that issue. We've got multiple guys that we like. Now we're going to play Hero Canoe as usual. We're going to play him more than any other defensive tackle, but he's also the most fit, most conditioned guy on our defensive line room, or defensive tackle room, I should say. Simmons is pretty fit. But I think the weird irony is we don't have to have the perfect package in because we got a bunch of good athletes on our defense, a bunch of guys who can play. Like no one feels bad that Anthony Smith is out there on 3rd and 9.
Right, 100%.
Right? So that's a great thing because some teams are like, "Oh, that's our run stopper linebacker, dude. They got him. They got it. We're caught out there." That's not a thing for us. So just get a core couple of calls that you feel good with, and then just let them roll with that as a default, unless you have something special you want to dial up. In which case, get that call in early.
But yeah, it's super important for this offense to not stall out because I'm not going to hear any defensive slander late in the game if they're having to play all these plays at that rate of speed. We have a mismatch in havoc rate, so theoretically, the Texas defense should be able to cause issues for them. And we do have an advantage in yards per rush. Right now, Texas is 5th in the country on run defense for opponent yards per rush.
Yep.
So even though they are a rushing offense, Texas should have that pretty solved. Now they can kind of beat that by making you play 5-man boxes with wide splits and spread you out. So they generate their run advantages through their scheme, but Texas should have that nailed. Texas also, there's a mismatch here on quarterback sack percentage between what we're able to do on defense and how often they get sacked. 3rd down distance, so they should be in a lot of 3rd and longs. And then our sacks per game versus how many sacks they allow. So Texas has like some really important mismatches here. They could slow down this offense.
One thing to think about, we opened up the Kentucky game with 3 defensive tackles. We had January, Canoe, and Brevard. And the attitude was, hey, you're not going to run downhill on us to start the game. So Kentucky did try to run downhill on the first play. January stuffs him. So it's good to have January back, right?
Yeah, he looked good.
And then Kentucky's like, okay, we got to go to screen game. And then they actually had a successful drive. We stopped him on 4th down. But I think there's interesting ways you can play Mississippi State. You can play kind of undersized on your D-line with a bunch of speed and then have enough bodies at the line of scrimmage. Or you can actually go with like a 3-man heavy front. And then Colin Simmons is your rusher. And then you play your linebackers. One's in the middle and one's like off. One's like to the whatever strength that they're declaring in terms of their receivers. And he's like a dropper, like a zone dropper, like an extra defender to take away their hitch routes. And then you have your corners just play like deep stuff. I mean, there's a lot of things you can tinker with and mess with their offense, because one of their great strengths is that they practice the same stuff over and over, and they just get slick at it, as you say. One of their great weaknesses is that they practice just the same stuff over and over. So if they have their hitch spot and you know their hitch spot, you can run Anthony Smith there. I drop him there. I mean, he'll win the ball in the air if he's fighting a receiver, and he's got like positional advantage. So there's some interesting games we can play with them. The key for PK is he's got to decide what he wants to do, and he's got to get that call in early.
Well, and you can route the ball, right? Yeah. Their rules are very clear. Like you can
make them throw it where you want.
Yeah.
But
and
you
if
have
you
to make a play there.
And if you disguise properly, you can walk right into an interception, right?
Yeah.
So you can show them the play that they will take and then drop that guy right into the window and get an interception. So that's the advantage too of some of this stuff is you can route the ball and choose where it goes because they are sound and we will take what you give us.
Can I give you another key to the game?
No.
Okay. Damn.
All right. Give it to me. Give it to me.
All right. We have to stop them when they do the thing on down and distance that we don't expect. On 3rd and 10, Jeff Lebby's not real confident they can block Colin Simmons and Hero Canoe and, Ethan Burke. So they might run the ball. And they might run the ball between the tackles with those big splits and pop one for 11 yards, right? And you get a new set of downs. Particularly if they're near midfield where it might be 2 down territory. And they're like, ooh, we got 7 on that run. Let's go for it. We're good. If you stuff them on that run and it's 4th and 11, he's punting.
Yeah.
Conversely, when it's 3rd and 1, don't assume they're just going to hand it off.
Right.
Because there's a pretty good chance we stuff them. I mean, you saw the Kentucky game, right? Look for them to go over the top. I mean, they are trying to win this game. They are the underdog. This makes their season if they beat Texas. They're going to adopt asymmetrical strategies. And Jeff Lebby's got clankers. He's not like scared to make the call that's correct that could lead to a big play. Even if it doesn't hit and the Mississippi State fans were like, oh, you got to run the ball there. It's 3rd and 1. Levy's like, no, they were manned up and we had Brendan Thompson open and we missed the throw. We're going to do that again. So just understand that I think one of the keys to the game that's kind of hidden is our ability to stop their counterintuitive play calls that are dictated seemingly by down and distance.
Yeah. And also you get into the game of I know that you know that I know that you
right.
know, you know, and so then you start having counters to counters to counters.
It's the Princess Bride effect of
like they're aware
as a Sicilian that I would put the poison in your cup.
Yeah, exactly.
However, I know.
Yeah.
Yeah, you get into this endless sort of thing. But anyway, I think my great insightful point, it hit you in terms of impact at about a 6.5 out of 10.
Yeah.
I'm disappointed.
No, dude, I'd give you a 7.
Okay. All right. I felt
I just, I analyze at such a high level, dude.
I understand.
It's like you really, really got to bring it.
You see the game within the game within the game. Hey, we got a super chat.
Yeah. Well, we'll hit this whenever we're about to hit our offense. So this would be a good way to talk about it once we get through a little bit of it. Lane, make sure I'll come back to it. And then if I don't, just spam me in the chat. Hey, man, do that. But first, Paul, we need to tell them about the greatest mortgage man in this here universe.
Yeah. Hey, your game plan for getting a mortgage or for refinancing your current mortgage because you're over 6.5%. It's this guy. That's the game plan. You know, the laminate, it's got all the plays listed and cross-reference the personnel. The laminate has one line. Call Gabe, 832-557-1095. That's 832-557-1095. Why? Over 20 years in the industry, fantastic at what he does. He's got a law degree. You'd be surprised how many times that comes in handy from your mortgage guy trying to solve a problem or a dispute in your whole home buying process. And he absolutely loves this. He's a master of his craft. The guy's amazing at what he does. I wish I could just read to you the endless Google reviews and things people have written on Inside Texas about working with Gabe, just raving about him. He's just an amazing problem solver. He's damn good at what he does. And he's ethical, which is very helpful in your mortgage guy. Go with Gabe. Brokers do it better. 832-557-1095.
Yeah, man, Gabe. Your fellow viewers also have utilized Gabe's services.
That's very true.
All right. So let's look at their defense. Yeah. Well, I want to talk through the offense a little bit, and then we'll talk about the game plan.
All right.
And how we can do it if it ends up being Quinn-like. Okay. So they're at so this is not the defense of last year, where they were like 130th in pass coverage. So it's not the same situation for Arch for sure. So they're 50th in opponent points per game. And if you guys remember Coleman Hutzler from our linebackers coach doing good stuff over there, they're 30th in defensive points per drive. And they've played some people. So that's important. They're not a pushover. About medium and giving up success rate, but they're not giving up explosives. So 16th in the country in stopping that. That's important. They are not great at front seven havoc, but they're 118th in that, but they are 23rd in defensive back havoc. So they've done a good job with this defense for their station overall before we talk granular. Let's look at the rushing defense, though. This is where you have some opportunity that hopefully we can exploit. So they're 94th in the country in defensive rush success rate. You can move the ball forward. They're not giving up explosives, though. They're keeping it in front of them, 13th in the country. But as far as steady, consistent drives, you can have success with this defense. They're 102nd in opponent yards per rush, 101st in opponent rushing yards per game. Run the ball. That's going to be a big key. Settle arch down, run the ball. And luckily, they're bad at defense. They're good at defensive rushing explosivity, and we're bad at it. So don't even worry about it. Just move the ball forward and give us a semblance of a run game there. Any quick thoughts on their run defense, Paul?
What happens when a resistible force meets a movable object?
Yeah. Well, it's just going to happen. We're not going to get explosives because we're bad at it and they're good at it. That's fine. Let's throw that out the window. Let's just get 4 yards when we do run.
I mean, it's ultimately, do we block it up? That's it. That's it. Do we block it up or not? If we let them do like gap games and all sorts of stuff, Connor Robertson needs to play a lot better. He needs to play with a lot more base, a lot more strength. Yet another offensive lineman who is not strong on our team. The only guys that are strong on our team they arrived that way. Or their mom and dad made them that way. So that's concern. We'll have a deep dive all 22 film coming out where we'll show you some of Connor Robertson's strength and power deficiencies.
And you'll see it come out in technique, right? We have a big problem where our guys reach out over their feet and then they bend at the hips because of it. And the only reason you would feel a need to generate that much push is because you're weak. And so you're trying to put everything behind it. And guess what? You miss and then you end up folded over or falling down. But if you were confident in your strength, you wouldn't constantly need these diving maneuvers to try to get your hands on people. So it's not just pure strength. It's what strength ends up destroying technique because you're trying to compensate and you end up doing unsound things all the time trying to compensate for it.
Well, and the strength deficit has effects and things that you wouldn't think, right? Like you're talking about technique, it's effects there because you don't trust your natural base. Mm-hmm. You can't anchor, right? You can't anchor in pass rush. You're going to do things like lunge and try to do stuff to compensate for that. The other part of it is when you're stronger, everything becomes submaximal. So, football is not running a marathon, but when you push really hard and you push as hard as you can because you're not very strong and you're trying to compensate, that's more tiring. But when you're really strong, you can go 80%. And you can do watch Jonathan Ogden. He's like, I can do this all day. He's 6'9", he's strong, and he's got awesome feet. Literally, you can't do anything against the guy.
Strength allows you to save energy, and it's kind of counterintuitive. But being strong actually lets you go longer. It doesn't mean that you're having to exert more quicker,
Strength is never a weakness. So, that's something that people don't always think of intuitively, but it's written all over our offensive line. So, anyway, that's kind of interesting.
On paper, we should be able to run.
We should be able to run on paper, but our lead back is Trey Wisner, and he averages 3 yards per carry on the season.
Yep.
So that's the reality.
And
we haven't exactly been playing like a murderer's row of rush defenses.
Yep. And that's what's so tough with this offense, man, because a lot of it is just our pure dysfunction. It's like, look, if we had a capable offensive line that would get to their blocks consistently, try hard consistently, stay up consistently, then it would look a lot different. If we had backs that were effective in multiple schemes, you could look better. But Trey needs outside
zone.
Trey needs outside zone. And when Sark doesn't do it, guess what? We don't get good running back performance. So, but also that's on Sark, dude. We know the answer. It's outside zone. That's how Trey will maximize. If you're not doing it, then that's on you.
And I've seen a lot of comments of like, oh, is CJ Baxter back? Is he, oh, that'll help. That'll solve it. It's like, no.
Yeah.
I mean, if we block it up, then any carbon-based life form will run for yards. And you could be like, see, CJ Baxter coming back was key.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, no, he ran through poles. If there's something where the back has to add to the run, he's not going to add to the run. So, like, we need to get over like the fantasy football aspect of recruiting and like off-season report nonsense of like, you got to actually watch the games and evaluate the player you're actually watching. And the player we're actually watching is a guy.
Yep. Defensive line yards are 128th in the country. They're 93rd on rushing power success rate. So you should be able to get those short yardages. Should. And then they're 132nd in defensive stuff rate. So they're not penetrating. And now keep in mind, I said this all about Florida.
Yeah. Again, no disrespect to your numbers and your charts because they're awesome. This has no predictive value for how people
with an offense, dude, with a quarterback that can throw for 44%, a line that just doesn't show up one day, backs that are just explosive 3 times a year. Yeah. I mean, it's like, and it's because it's us. The dysfunction is so across the board that you can't project a team like that, right? But this is all just, hey, this is what Mississippi State does normally, but they're not facing a normal offense. They're facing a very weird offense that does strange things all the time.
Well, here's the other part. And again, not to try to overplug our shows, but I think this deep dive, this all 22, y'all are going to love it because we pulled some plays that really show the upside of this offense of like what's available, but also what's preventing it. And even in our run game, there is some opportunity for some diversity using Manning, like running zone read. Mm-hmm. We're going to show you guys a clip of a play near the end of the game where if Arch Manning had made the correct read on zone read, it's a 30-yard touchdown for Trey Wisner. But he doesn't, which raises the question of, is it even zone read? Or are we just showing it? And then he's run all the way. So I don't know. I don't know. We could probably hit a bunch of super chats now because I'm not sure how they defend us is going to be expressed in these numbers.
I want to touch on that they have had success.
Connor's like, I made the freaking spreadsheet. We're going through it.
We're going through it. But this is just, you should know where their relative strengths are generally. So opponent passing success rate, they're 47th. They do give up some explosivity, which is interesting, but pretty good. It's not, my big point is, I heard a lot of people, Arch played this team last year and he balled out.
Yeah.
Well, this was an awful, awful secondary last year.
Yes.
And it's not this year.
No.
So you can't you can't transpose this. It's a different thing. Now, knowing what will happen here, Arch is going to go off. Arch is going to go for 75%, and he's going to throw 3 explosives because they tend to just do the opposite of whatever we say. But this is not a pushover secondary. Remember, they were like one of the worst in the nation in pass rush, and they're still not great there at sacking the quarterback. But it was a very different circumstance for Arch last year when he had a good passing game.
Yeah, I mean, he also had a better supporting cast, and he played differently, right?
And he had an offensive line you could trust. He had a first-round receiver. So opponent yards per pass, they're 40th. Still not great at sack rate. Kentucky and Florida were both in the 90s in sack rate, and that did not matter. So that one I'll definitely throw out on behalf of Paul. But they should not be able to sack us. But this is a horrible offensive line. They will sack us. And then their efficiencies, they're the 38th ranked defense in the country. That's a big difference for Mississippi State. And but you're seeing all these Mississippi State advantages, right? Like they have the upper hand. Finally, Texas is dropping on the offensive side. Now we're officially 47th in offensive efficiency, hanging around at 22. I'm like, what are we talking about? This is not the 22nd offense, but Texas will continue to sink like a stone in DFEI on the offensive side. So Mississippi State right now, no shocker, is a better defense than the Texas offense is. And then they have pretty much all the advantages in situationals. So even though they're not great, they're still better. I mean, look at Texas. Standard downs rate, we're 111th in the country. That means good situations where you can run and pass and use your full playbook. We're 111th in the country. And when we are in those standard downs, meaning the easy downs where you should have your full playbook, we're 114th in the country. So even when we're in good situations, we cannot execute.
So 2nd and 4.
2nd and 4, we're 114th in the country.
Yeah.
Passing downs rate, we're 110th in the country. 82nd in success rate in that situation. 92nd in early downs EPA. We're 79th on third downs. We're 124th out of 136 teams in average third down distance. And we are 106th on fourth down, 85th in red zone for field goal and touchdown, 83rd for touchdowns. I mean, it's just a horrifically ineffective offense. So you'll see Mississippi State has a lot of advantages here. Originally, in the beginning of the year, we were pretty good at sacks, not getting sacked because Arch was avoiding them. It's gone so bad now that even Arch, I mean, these sacks are unavoidable. 2 guys hitting you at the same time. So we're sinking there at 69th. They're still not a high sack team. Throw that out. They'll get sacks. 64th in interceptions per game. We're not fumbling, which is one bright spot. And they are not causing a lot of fumbles, so I don't expect fumbles to occur. Famous last words. So this is really tough because they're not a great situational defense. It's just our offense is so poor situationally. It's really remarkable. All right, now let's get to some of these here chats. Given Arch practiced it for 2 years and ran it last year versus Mississippi State, should we see the Quinn offense this weekend? Screens.
Well, so I mean, so Arch didn't run it last year versus Mississippi State, right?
Yeah, he was taking shots.
He did his own thing. We had a different offense. We were rolling him out. He was taking shots downfield constantly. We didn't have the 0 to 9 yard, efficiency attack, right? So I don't know. I don't know about that. I mean, I don't know what offense we'll see. He makes up a different offense every week, and we try.
What do you think is the smartest game plan? I think it's run the ball because
run outside zone, and then build your offense off of that. Layer it off, right? And then let's see if Arch can hit gimme throws, and if he can, expand it.
And whenever they do fire down a bunch, try to hit a shot or two because they're 87th in passing explosivity. But that's going to be kind of the game plan: is run it, short stuff, complete, shot. That's what I think it would look like theoretically with an offense that's functioning. Sugarcane Daddy, enough with the nuggets. I don't know what it means.
Chicken Nuggets is the name of Ian Boyd's flag football team that he coaches.
Okay, is that what it is? I had no idea. He's always talking about nuggets, and I'm like, I have no concept of what he's saying. The way the season is going. Let's start breaking down the chicken nuggets instead. Won't be as depressing. We've thought about that because Paul has a team and Ian has a team. It's like, man, let's just cover y'all's games.
I mean, let's be clear. I have a real team.
That's true.
Tackle football.
Well, what age group are you in?
Huh?
What age group are you in?
6th graders.
6th graders. Okay. Yeah, you would have the advantage against Ian's flag football team, I believe. All right, quick thing. We'll just go over their the overalls that are important. Mississippi State is 114th in the country in penalties per game. You should have an advantage. Texas is 117th.
Ooh, that's a real battle.
It's a real battle of who's going to screw this up. Both these teams are very unlucky. So you see this in fumble recoveries for Texas. So they're 82nd in luck rating. Texas is 79th. So you have 2 sloppy teams with bad luck. So this could get real weird real fast. They're 35th in turnover margin, pretty good. Texas, this has been the bright spot of why you haven't seen us get beat by 30, is that we're 15th in turnover margin. We're not giving the ball away, at least. And trust me, you should be thankful for that. They're 8th in field position. That's really good. Texas is better. We're 2nd in the country in field position. That's why the offense becomes more frustrating because they're constantly in great situations and they cannot get it done. 22nd most talented team, which just goes to show you, right, how talented the SEC is. Like Mississippi State's the bottom feeder. They're still the 22nd most talented roster in football. I think only lower would be like Vandy. And they'd be like in the 40s.
That's wild.
Yeah, it's crazy. So they're 45th in special teams. That's pretty good, above average, but Texas is 3rd in special teams. And their schedule so far has been the 35th hardest. Texas has played the 9th. So
Ohio State's doing a lot of work on that.
Not a ton of mismatches. Defensive rushing explosivity is a mismatch, meaning that we are not explosive. They are good at stopping it. Don't expect long runs, but don't expect that any week. Fumbles per game, Texas has an advantage for not fumbling, so you shouldn't see that. And then returning production, who cares about that? So not a ton of mismatches here, but Mississippi State, you can see there's a lot more red here and advantages for Mississippi State. They're a better defense than we are in offense. Isn't that wild?
Yeah, it is wild.
So we're going to go shoot a defensive film study for you guys. No, not defensive. We're going to shoot the deep dive film study covering offense too.
Offense and defense.
Yeah, we're going to have both on there. So that's going to be really enjoyable. You also need to head over to InsideTexas.com, join for $1. You guys know the drill by now. Come hang out, man. Chat on the board. It's fun. We're over there all the time, answering all your stuff directly, and a lot of good jokes and insights. Paul, thank you. Chat, thank y'all as well. Hopefully we can get this win. This is not a gimme, as you guys can see. Texas is going to be in a battle week in, week out. For me, trying to get to that 8th win is really important. So you got to win these ones, but don't expect Mississippi State to roll on over. This was IT Live, and it was brought to you by Academy Sports and Outdoors. Have a wonderful day.